middle-aged, I live in Middle England and earn a middling salary, writing travel books and teaching geography at Oxford University. My life is extremely comfortable, or rather it was. It all changed when I started writing about the world's most extreme environments. The more I suffered in these godforsaken places,
the more I saw that it's the hostile landscapes that have shaped man's existence on Earth. One of the most hostile is the vast area that has kept East and West apart. Crossable only via the network of trading routes known as the Silk Road, this wilderness of mountains, plateaus and deserts is one of the least populated on Earth. But life is sustained there. Just what sort of life, my publisher felt was up to me to find out. This is the Badain-Giran Sand Sea, 49,000 square kilometers, and one of the bleakest but most beautiful parts of the Gobi Desert. I had an appointment to meet an eccentric Austrian at the edge of the Badain-Giran. He's the only European ever to have walked across this ocean of sand and had nearly died doing it. He was going to try and take me to one of the very few people who actually live there, a hardy soul called Lao Gao. It was January, and before I got to the dunes, I knew I'd need to acclimatize to life in a freezing winter desert, so I planned to cross the Gobi from north to south. I started my journey at Altai in Mongolia, on the Gobi's northern fringe. Altai is a bizarre mix of old and new, heavy industry next door to suburbs filled with the circular gares of recently settled ex-nomads. But for the jeeps, you could have been looking at an encampment of Genghis Khan's followers. My guide, Aldra, lost no time in getting me down to the market to stock up on the necessary cold weather gear.
You can try it.
Oh, so it's a double boot.
Yeah, double boot. Yeah.
Oh yes, that immediately feels much warmer.
Yo, okay.
Yeah?
Yeah, big stomach.
None of that.
The vast sheepskin dell is traditionally secured with a sash. Aldra considered a lucky length for a man to be 9 meters.
9 meters?
Yes, 9 meters.
I'm not that fat.
It was good to have the monster coat, but I couldn't help feeling that I wasn't going to be using it much on the first leg. 500 miles by road south to the Chinese border. However, I was wrong about that. Aldra, who had lived all his life in the Gobi, apart from a spell in the Mongolian parachute regiment, had a unique approach to Gobi transport.
Nick, now we are in the Mongolian Gobi. There is no people, there is no house. I'll teach you how to survive in Mongolian Gobi. And we use Mongolian traditional way.
Aldra had obviously decided his mission wasn't to make my life easy.
This is it, into the Gobi, and it's extraordinarily cold. But believe it or not, I've been looking forward to this for some time, because I've been here in the summer and it's plus 30, 40 degrees C. And now it must be at least minus 20. And I'm actually having trouble speaking because my jaw is freezing up.
Even swathed head to toe in dead animals, after 4 hours on this freezing motorbike, I was looking forward to warming up at some wayside inn. But Aldra was having none of that.
We're gonna sleep outside tonight.
Sleep outside?
Yes.
What, in a tent?
No tent. We use Mongolian traditional way.
It's going to be extremely cold, isn't it?
It's about minus 25, maybe more.
Yeah, that's what I mean, extremely cold, we'll die.
Yeah.
Not only were there no tents, there was precious little else on Aldra's bike.
Is this it?
Yes.
Aldra said we needed to collect firewood and stones. And my concerns about an al fresco night in this temperature increased when I came across the frozen remains of a horse.
It's Gobi Desert. Difficult to survive.
Now we fill, huh?
Aldra's solution to the cold was a sort of primitive night storage heater.
Yes.
Okay.
The brushwood was ignited in a shallow depression, which we then filled with the stones. After 2 hours, with the wood all but burnt out, we covered the pile of baking hot stones with a mattress of luxurious Gobi sand. The Princess and the Pea came to mind.
What about my nose?
The temperature was slightly lower than my deep freeze at home, which I wouldn't dream of sleeping in.
How often have you done this?
Not often, yeah.
Not often. That wasn't what I wanted to hear. Well, I'd be very impressed if we're still alive tomorrow morning. These stones are just extraordinary. I have to keep turning over every 15 minutes because, I mean, this side of me's almost done now. Like my calves, they're actually burning. I'm having to keep them above the surface. They are amazingly effective, these stones. Oh, I've just got to turn, that's too hot. Too hot.
The next morning we were back on the road for another dose of Mongolian osteopathy.
I'm freezing now, I can hardly speak. You're a madman, Aldra.
Yes.
Mongolia is the size of Western Europe, but with only about 3 million people living here, it is, apart from the polar regions, the emptiest place on the planet. And this southern part of it, the Gobi Desert, is the emptiest part of all. On my way to meet up with Bruno Baumann on the other side of the Gobi, we travelled south all day without coming across anyone, until we got to the Biga Valley, where we met Shabata and his family.
Nick, how do you do?
Living in pretty much the same way as the followers of Genghis Khan 800 years ago, minus the raping and pillaging, of course, Shabata's family are pastoral nomads. But they sit out the winter close to a supply of water with their herds of camels, goats and cows. When we arrived, Shabata was about to get the family's daily water.
I'm very lazy. All I have to do is turn a tap.
He seemed unimpressed by the joys of Western plumbing.
Yeah. Yeah. Just 2 buckets is not so heavy.
It seems like quite a big effort to me.
The river Biga dries up in summer, but though it flows all winter, getting at the water isn't easy.
How thick is the ice here?
About 1 meter.
A metre thick?
Okay.
Gosh.
For the 5 months of the year when the river's frozen, this isn't just for Shabata's family. Their animals would die if he didn't break the ice falls.
Yeah.
Water.
God, look at that. Yes. It's like a geyser.
Yeah.
It's filling up.
The water looked a bit muddy for humans, but it was nothing a little settling time wouldn't sort out, and the livestock certainly didn't care. Back in the camp, Shabata and his son-in-law kindly erected their guest ger for me and Aldra. In just 30 minutes. Doors for the warm ger.
Shabata, I've brought you a special present from England, which is English snuff.
Forewarned about the Mongols' love of snuff, I'd brought along a supply of Oxford's finest.
Thank you.
Huh? It's
strong. It's quite strong, is it?
Yeah,
it's stronger than Mongolian snuff.
I'm not sure the snuff was all that popular, but at that moment the giant Mongolian kebab appeared. It was served, you've guessed it, hot stones first.
It is very addictive for you when you tightness, yeah?
When you're tired?
Yeah.
Oh,
when
okay.
you're tired. Yeah. You can try
Thank you.
this.
They're not too hot either, are they?
Yeah.
I mean, they're quite hot. You wouldn't want to hold them in one hand for very long.
Once Delgashot had fed the fire with the first piece of meat, Aldrar and I were told to dig in.
Which are the best bits?
Skin, yeah.
Yeah, skin is good, isn't
Yeah.
it? It's delicious. Lots of fat on this meat.
It's a nomad animal, so you can eat.
You need to eat the whole lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, fat is good for you in
Yes,
the cold,
yeah,
isn't it?
in hot winter.
Yeah. Now, I must say I like fat.
With most of the Gobi ahead of me, it seemed only wise to fill up on the mouth-wateringly fatty, stone-cooked goat. And it was late when we collapsed into our gare. Next morning, Delgashot lost no time in chiding me for a basic laundry error.
Perhaps I should put them inside, yeah. Right.
And my smalls weren't the only thing to be frozen. At minus 32 degrees Celsius, engine oil freezes.
Yes, engine is frozen. Last night, very cold.
Yeah, it was. Aren't you ever afraid that it might sort of explode or something?
No.
No?
Eventually, however, we said our goodbyes and set off. Our next stop, 6 hours later, was the Takintal Equine Research Centre, where Aldrar and I were to part company. At Takintal, Przewalski's horse, known to Mongolians as the Taki, the last wild relative of the domestic horse, is being reintroduced to the steppes. Genghis Khan's hordes would have been familiar with herds of these untamable Taki, but they became extinct in the wild in the 1960s. The watchful Ganbata is in charge of the process, and I was hoping to get a lift further south with him as he checked up on the centre's biggest success story.
Are there any groups that you would say are now truly wild again?
Yes, our past group is really could come back to truly wild life.
Past group?
Yes, past group.
So what's special about the past group?
He is best adapted to the wild life. Past is very experienced stallion. He can protect his foals from wolf.
And where does he hang out?
Yeah, this group is very far distance from here, approximately 50-kilometer distance.
Without further ado, we climbed into a jeep and set off. Ganbata explained that the resourceful Pass and his harem of mares and foals roamed over a vast area, 25 to 30 kilometers square. It was like looking for a pale brown needle in a pale brown haystack.
We will
Okay.
try sedan.
Come on, you Taki.
Yeah, come on.
Well, all I can see
You can see?
is lots of stones. Proper Gobi, huh? Proper Gobi, but no Taki.
As the search continued, we sought what local help there was.
Search